I was 31 when I heard my wife call another man her soulmate. And somehow, I was supposed to believe it was funny. The apartment smelled like her perfume when I walked in that Tuesday evening. The expensive kind she used to save for our anniversary dinners. It was 6:30, same as always. 12 hours at the distribution center, boots caked in warehouse dust, shoulders aching from loading pallets. I expected to find her on the couch in sweatpants, maybe scrolling her phone or half watching some reality show. Instead, I heard laughter, real laughter, the kind that lights up a room, the kind I hadn't heard directed at anything I'd said in months. She was pressed into the corner of the couch, phone to her ear, face glowing in a way that stopped me cold. When she finally noticed me standing there, she didn't pause the conversation, didn't even lower her voice. "No, you're ridiculous," she said into the phone, grinning. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow." She hung up slowly, like she didn't want to, then looked at me. "Hey, how was work?" "Long," I said, dropping my keys on the counter. "Who was that?" "Oh, just Sebastian from the office. He's hilarious." Sebastian. I'd heard that name maybe 3 times in the past 2 weeks. Now it was 5. I kept my tone light. "What's so funny?" She waved her hand like I'd asked something silly. "He was just saying how I'm his soulmate at work. You know, because we always have the same lunch order and we both hate the new printer system." She laughed again, like it was the most innocent thing in the world. "It's just kidding around." I stood there for a second, watching her. She was wearing makeup, on a Tuesday, at home. And that perfume, the one she used to say was too expensive to waste on regular nights, hung thick in the air. "Right," I said, "kidding around." "Don't be like that," she said, already scrolling through her phone, not even looking at me anymore. "It's harmless office banter. You're being weird." I wasn't being weird. I was noticing things. Like how her phone was face down on the couch cushion. Like how she'd stayed late at work 3 times last week. Like how she suddenly needed to go in early for some project I'd never heard about until yesterday. I didn't say any of that. I just nodded and headed to the bathroom. "I'm going to grab a shower." "Okay. There's leftover pasta in the fridge if you're hungry." I wasn't hungry. I turned on the water and stood there, letting the steam fill the room, thinking about 5 years of marriage. 5 years of waking up next to someone who promised to have my back, to be my partner, to choose me every day. And now I was supposed to believe that some guy calling her his soulmate was just harmless fun. I've never been the jealous type, never checked her phone, never questioned where she was going or who she was with. I trusted her because that's what you do in a marriage. But trust isn't the same thing as stupidity, and I'm not blind. That night, after she fell asleep, I did something I swore I'd never do. Her phone was charging on the nightstand, face up this time. No lock screen, because she'd always said she had nothing to hide. I picked it up carefully, kept the brightness low so it wouldn't wake her. The messages with Sebastian weren't buried. They were right there at the top. Recent, constant. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. You looked amazing today, by the way." My actual soulmate, not just kidding. And her response was just as bad. "Stop! You're going to make me blush at my desk." I wish we had more time alone. He doesn't notice anything anymore, anyway. I put the phone back down, exactly where I found it. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. I just felt clear. Like fog had lifted, and I could finally see the road ahead. There wasn't going to be a big confrontation. No yelling, no crying, No throwing her mistakes in her face while she apologized and promised it didn't mean anything. I'd seen enough of those situations play out with friends, coworkers, family members. It always ended the same way. Apologies that didn't stick. Promises to change that lasted maybe a month. Counseling sessions that just prolonged the inevitable. I wasn't interested in any of that. I got up quietly, went to the closet, and pulled my old duffel bag down from the top shelf. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and made a list in my head. Bank account, lease agreement, utilities, mail forwarding, work schedule. She stirred a little but didn't wake up. By morning, I'd have a plan. By tomorrow night, I'd be gone. Not because I wanted to hurt her, not because I wanted revenge, but because the kidding was over. And so was everything else. I didn't sleep much that night. Didn't need to. By 4 in the morning, I had everything mapped out with the precision I used for inventory management at work. First call was to Jake, my buddy from the gym. He answered groggy but alert when I told him I needed help moving today. He didn't ask questions, just said he'd be there by 7 with his truck. Second call was to the leasing office voicemail. I left a message requesting to remove my name from the lease immediately due to separation. Told them to call my cell, not the apartment line. Third, I logged into our joint account and transferred exactly half into my personal checking account. Fair is fair. She was still asleep. The alarm wouldn't go off for another hour. I moved through the apartment like I was running a shift inventory. Systematic, efficient, emotionless. My clothes, my tools, my laptop. The TV I'd bought 2 years before we got married. The coffee maker my brother gave me. Every item that was mine or that I'd paid for went into a mental category. Taking it, or doesn't matter enough to fight over. I left the couch. Left most of the kitchen stuff. Left all the decorations she'd picked out that I never cared about anyway. When Jake showed up with his brother Wayne, I already had boxes stacked by the door. "You okay, man?" Jake asked quietly. "I will be," I said. "Just need to get this done before 8. He looked around the apartment, then back at me. "She doesn't know you're leaving. She'll figure it out." We worked fast. 2 trips to a storage unit I'd rented online at 5 that morning. Paid 3 months up front. By 7:45, my car was packed with essentials. Clothes for 2 weeks, toiletries, laptop, work boots. Everything else was either in storage or staying behind. The apartment looked different now. You could see the gaps on the bookshelf where my books used to be. The empty corner where my weights were stacked. The blank wall where the TV had hung. She'd be up any minute. I needed to leave one more thing behind. I grabbed a piece of paper from the printer. The same printer we'd argued about buying 6 months ago because she insisted we needed it for household organization. I'd paid for it, left it anyway. The note was simple, direct. "Kidding's over. Marriage too." I put it on the kitchen counter right where she'd see it when she made her morning coffee. Then I took my key off the ring, left her apartment key on top of the note, and kept only my car key. Jake was waiting outside in his truck. "You need a place to crash?" he asked. "Got it handled? Appreciate this." "Anytime, brother. You sure you don't want to stick around and talk to her?" "Nothing to talk about." I followed Jake's truck out of the complex. Didn't look back at the building. This wasn't a movie. It was just me taking out the trash before it started to rot. My phone buzzed around 9. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Then a text from her appeared. "Where are you? Where's all your stuff? What is going on?" I didn't respond. Just blocked the number and kept driving. I called the electric company from a gas station, explained I was moving out, needed to remove my name from the account. They said they'd need her to add hers, or the service would be disconnected in 30 days. Not my problem anymore. Did the same with internet, with the car insurance, since both vehicles were under one policy. Separated everything. By noon, I was checked into an extended stay motel off the highway. Nothing fancy. Clean sheets, working Wi-Fi, microwave, and mini fridge. $200 a week. Paid a month up front. It would do until I found something permanent. My phone had 17 missed calls from her number by then. I didn't block this one yet. I wanted to see how long she'd try before she understood. Jake texted me around 3. She called me asking if I knew where you were. Told her I helped you move but didn't know where to. She sounded panicked. Good, I replied, because panic meant she was starting to get it. This wasn't me throwing a tantrum or trying to scare her into apologizing. I was gone. Completely. And there wasn't going to be a conversation about it. I sat on the edge of the motel bed and looked around the small room. My duffel bag in the corner, my work uniform hanging in the tiny closet, my phone charging on the nightstand. 5 years of marriage, and this is what I was left with. But it was mine. Earned by my own work, not shared with someone who thought another man calling her his soulmate was just a harmless joke. I ordered a pizza, ate half, saved the rest. Then I called my manager and explained I'd had a family emergency but would be back tomorrow. He was understanding. Good guy. Tomorrow, I'd start phase 2. Tonight, I just enjoyed the silence. She didn't stop trying to reach me. Voicemails, texts, even tried emailing me at my work address. I deleted them all without listening or reading. There was nothing she could say that would change anything. By day 3, she'd moved on to mutual friends. Claire, her college roommate, texted, "Hey, she's really worried about you. Can you at least let her know you're safe?" I replied, "I'm fine. This is between me and her." Anna, a friend from my side, asked, "What happened? She's saying you just disappeared. That's not like you." Found out some things, made a decision, I'm good. Nobody pushed after that. They knew me well enough to know when I'm done, I'm done. The leasing office called me back on day 4. "Mr. Malone, we'll need both signatures to make changes, or one person can assume full responsibility." "I'm not signing anything with her," I said. "Send me whatever I need to sign to remove myself. She can keep the place or move out. Doesn't matter to me. The lease isn't up until March. If she can't afford it alone, there could be complications." Not my complications anymore. That afternoon, I met with a lawyer. Nothing fancy, just a straightforward guy named Kevin Wright, who worked out of a small office near the courthouse. Flat fee for uncontested divorce, $800. "Do you have kids?" he asked. "No." "Shared property? House, cars?" "Both cars are titled separately. We rented. No major assets." "This should be simple then. Idaho's a no-fault state. We file, she gets served. If she doesn't contest, you're divorced in about 6 weeks." "What if she contests? Does she have grounds?" I almost laughed. "No, I have grounds. She doesn't." "Then it might take a few months, but the outcome won't change. You want to proceed?" "Yeah." I signed the papers right there. He said he'd file them by end of week, and she'd be served within 10 days. Walking out of that office felt like dropping a weight I'd been carrying for months without even noticing it. Not relief exactly, just clarity. My phone rang while I was sitting in my car. Her number again. This time, I answered. "Finally," she said, voice sharp. "Do you have any idea what you've put me through? I come home and half the apartment is empty. You leave some cryptic note, and then you just vanish. What is wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me, I said calmly. Then what is this? Some kind of punishment because I have a friend at work? You're being childish. I read the messages. Silence. What messages? She finally asked, but her voice had changed. All of them. Sebastian, your soulmate. The one who's definitely not just kidding around. More silence. It's not what you think. I'm filing for divorce, I cut her off. You'll be served in about a week. Don't contact me again. Wait, you can't just... I hung up, blocked the number. Then I blocked Sebastian's number too, even though he'd never called me, just in case. For the next few days, I focused on work. Picked up extra shifts when I could. The routine helped. Wake up, go to work, come back to the motel, sleep. Simple, no drama. Jake checked in regularly, even brought me dinner one night, and just sat watching a game with me without asking invasive questions. That's the kind of friend you keep. On day 8, I got a call from an unknown number. Didn't answer. Then a voicemail. It was her mother. I don't know what's going on between you two, but she's devastated. She's staying with us now because she can't afford that apartment alone. You need to be a man and work this out. Marriage is about forgiveness. I deleted it. Marriage is also about respect, about loyalty, about not entertaining another man calling you his soulmate while your husband works 12-hour shifts to help pay bills. Day 10, the lawyer called. She's been served. Thought you'd want to know. Thanks. She has 30 days to respond. We'll see if she contests. I didn't think she would. What could she possibly say to a judge? That I was unreasonable for leaving after discovering her emotional affair? Good luck with that. That night, I finally let myself think about the future instead of just the present. Where did I want to live long term? Did I want to stay at the distribution center or look for something different? What did my life look like without her in it? The answer surprised me. It looked peaceful. No more walking into a home where I felt like an afterthought. No more pretending I didn't notice when she was distant. No more wondering if I was enough. I was enough. She just didn't deserve what I had to offer. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Text from Sebastian's number, which I'd blocked on calls but apparently not messages. Man, I don't know what she told you, but we're just friends. This is crazy. I stared at it for a second, then typed back. You're about to see how crazy it gets. Stay away from my wife. Actually, scratch that. She's not my wife anymore. Do whatever you want. Then I blocked him completely. Let them figure it out. Let her explain to him why her husband left. Let him decide if she's worth the trouble. I turned off my phone and went to bed. Tomorrow was another shift. Another day forward. Another day not looking back. 2 weeks after I left, she made her move. Claire called to warn me. Just a heads up. She's planning to go to the apartment tomorrow with Sebastian. She thinks you've been staying somewhere nearby and checking on the place. She wants to talk to you both together and clear everything up. Clear what up? I asked. I don't know. She's convinced that if you just hear them explain that it's innocent, you'll come back and everything will go back to normal. Appreciate the warning. After I hung up, I sat there thinking. Part of me wanted to just ignore it. Let her show up to an empty apartment and figure it out herself. But another part of me, the part that was tired of this dragging out, wanted to make sure she got the message loud and clear. I drove to the apartment the next morning early, let myself in with the spare key I'd kept just in case. The place looked worse than when I'd left it. Dishes in the sink, laundry piled on the couch, mail stacked on the counter, mostly bills with final notice stamps. She clearly wasn't handling things well. I didn't feel bad about it. I walked through each room one more time, checking the closet, the bathroom cabinet, making sure I hadn't left anything important behind. I hadn't. Then I sat down at the kitchen table and wrote another note. This one longer, more detailed. I didn't include timestamps or specific messages. Didn't need to. I just laid out what I knew. The frequency of their contact, the nature of their conversations, the lies about working late. I mentioned that I'd filed for divorce and that the papers had been served. I explained that bringing Sebastian here to explain was probably the worst decision she could make because it proved she still didn't understand what she'd done wrong. At the bottom, I wrote, "This isn't a negotiation. The marriage is over. Sign the papers or don't. But either way, I'm done." I left the note on the kitchen counter right where the first one had been. Then I took one last look around. 5 years of my life had happened in these rooms. Holidays, anniversaries, quiet Sunday mornings. All of it felt like it belonged to a different person now. I locked the door behind me and dropped the key in the apartment office drop box with a note requesting they change the locks since I was no longer on the lease. By the time I got back to the motel, Claire had texted again. "They're heading over there now. She's really confident this is going to work." I didn't respond, just waited. An hour later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, but this time I listened. It was her, voice shaking, almost frantic. "You took everything, even the key. How am I supposed to? You can't just... We need to talk about this like adults. Sebastian is here, and he wants to explain that we're just friends. Please call me back, please." I deleted it. 20 minutes after that, another voicemail. This one from Sebastian. "Look, man, I don't know what she told you, but this whole thing is blown out of proportion. We work together. That's it. She's going through something clearly, and I was just trying to be supportive. You walking out on her like this is messed up. She deserves better." I almost laughed. He was actually trying to lecture me about how to treat my own wife. Ex-wife, technically, once the papers were finalized. I didn't delete that one. Saved it just in case I needed a reminder later of how delusional people could be when they were caught. That evening, Jake came by with Chinese food. "Heard through the grapevine that she tried to ambush you today." Wasn't much of an ambush since I wasn't there. "She's telling people you're hiding from her." "I'm not hiding. I'm just not interested in her drama." Jake nodded, digging into his fried rice. "For what it's worth, most people aren't buying her story. Anna told me she saw the texts. Not all of them, but enough." "Doesn't matter what people believe," I said. "I know what I saw. Still, it's good that people know you didn't just bail for no reason." We ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Jake asked the question I'd been waiting for. "You doing okay?" "Really?" I thought about it. "Yeah, I actually am." And I meant it. There was no lingering anger, no bitterness, just a sense of finality that felt right. The next day at work, my supervisor pulled me aside during break. "Hey, I got a weird call this morning. Some woman asking if you'd been showing up to your shifts. Said she was your wife and was worried about you." "Ex-wife," I corrected. "And I've been here every day." That's what I told her. Just wanted to give you a heads up that she's trying to track you down. "Appreciate it." She was getting desperate. Good. Maybe desperation would finally make her understand that this wasn't fixable. That night, I got one final text from a different unknown number. "You win. I'll sign the papers, but you're going to regret this." I didn't respond. There was nothing to win or lose here. I'd just chosen not to stay in a situation that didn't work for me anymore. And regret? The only thing I regretted was not trusting my instincts sooner. I blocked the number and went to sleep. The divorce papers came back signed 3 weeks later. No contest, no request for mediation, just her signature and a lawyer's stamp. Kevin called me with the news. Clean as it gets. We'll file the final decree and you should be officially divorced in about 2 weeks. Congratulations, I guess. Thanks. You doing all right? Better than all right. And I was. I'd found a small house to rent on the other side of town. Nothing fancy, but it had a garage and a yard. First time in years, I'd have space that was actually mine. Move-in date was set for next week. Work had been good too. I'd taken on extra hours, impressed the right people. My supervisor mentioned there might be a lead position opening up in the next quarter if I was interested. I told him I was. Life was moving forward. Meanwhile, from what I'd heard through mutual friends, hers was falling apart. Claire gave me the update over coffee one Saturday morning. I hadn't asked, but she seemed to need to tell someone. She had to move back in with her parents. Couldn't afford the apartment after you left. They're not happy with her. Her dad barely speaks to her. That's tough, I said. And I meant it. I didn't wish her suffering. I just didn't want to be involved in it. And Sebastian, Claire continued, stirring her coffee. Apparently, he distanced himself pretty quickly once things got complicated. Shocking, I said deadpan. She tried to keep seeing him, but he told her he couldn't be involved in her drama. Said it was affecting his reputation at work. His reputation, I repeated. Not her feelings. His reputation. Exactly. She's been a mess about it. Keeps saying how she lost everything for nothing. I took a sip of my coffee. She didn't lose anything for nothing. She made choices. Choices have consequences. Claire nodded slowly. She asks about you sometimes. Wants to know if you're seeing anyone, if you're okay, if you ever talk about her. What do you tell her? That you're doing fine and you don't really talk about it. That's accurate. She seems to think you'll eventually reach out, that you'll want closure or something. I shook my head. I have closure. I closed that door when I packed my stuff and left. She doesn't understand that. Not my problem anymore. We talked about other things after that. Normal stuff. It felt good to have a conversation that wasn't centered around the divorce. A few days later, I was moving boxes into the new place when my phone rang. Jake. You're not going to believe this. Just ran into Sebastian at the hardware store. Okay. He tried to talk to me. Asked how you were doing. Said he felt bad about the whole situation. Felt bad? Yeah. I told him he should have felt bad before he spent weeks messaging another man's wife. He got defensive. Said it wasn't like that. Said you misunderstood everything. What did you say? I said that if it wasn't like that, he would have been man enough to apologize directly to you instead of hiding behind her and making excuses. He didn't have much to say after that. Appreciate you having my back. Always, brother. How's the new place? Good. Quiet. Exactly what I needed. That night, I set up my TV in the living room, ordered a pizza, and sat on my couch in my house watching whatever I wanted without anyone complaining about my choices. This was peace. This was what I'd been missing. The next morning, I got an email from her. Subject line: please read this. I almost deleted it without opening. Almost. But curiosity got the better of me. The email was long. Pages of explanations, justifications, apologies. She admitted she'd gotten too close to Sebastian. Said it had started innocent, but she'd let it go too far emotionally. Claimed they never physically cheated, as if that made it better. Said she'd been lonely because I worked so much. Said she never meant to hurt me. Said she loved me and wanted to fix things. I read it all the way through once. Then I closed it and moved it to trash. There was nothing to fix. You can't fix broken trust with words. And I didn't want to. I typed a short response. The last thing I'd ever say to her. I got your email. I'm not interested in explanations or reconciliation. The divorce is almost finalized. Move on with your life. I'm moving on with mine. Sent it. Blocked her email address. 2 weeks later, the final decree arrived in the mail. Official, legal, done. I held the paper for a minute, then filed it away in my desk drawer. It wasn't a trophy. It wasn't a punishment. It was just documentation of a decision I'd made and followed through on. That weekend, Jake and Wayne helped me finish setting up the house. We assembled furniture, hung pictures, organized the garage. Normal guy stuff. Place looks good, Jake said, cracking open a soda after we finished. Looks like home. It is home, I said. And it was. Not the house I'd shared with her. Not the apartment we'd rented together. This was mine. Built from scratch after everything fell apart. My phone buzzed. Anna. Hey, just wanted to let you know she's apparently dating someone new already. Thought you should hear it from a friend first. I texted back. Good for her. Hope she's honest with him. And I meant it. I wasn't angry, wasn't jealous, just genuinely indifferent. That night, I sat on my back porch with a beer, looking at the stars. I thought about where I'd been a month ago. Stressed, suspicious, questioning everything. Now I was clear, focused, free. I'd made the right choice. Not because I wanted to hurt her or prove a point, but because I knew my worth and refused to settle for less than I deserved. The kidding was over. The marriage was over. And I was just getting started. 6 months later, I barely recognized my own life. And I mean that in the best way possible. The lead position at work came through. Better pay, better hours, actual weekends off. I used the extra money to fix up the house, painted the exterior, built a workbench in the garage. Small projects that made the place feel even more like mine. I'd started going to the gym with Jake regularly, not because I was trying to prove anything or show anyone what they were missing, just because it felt good to have a routine that was about taking care of myself. Made some new friends through work. Julian and Kevin from the loading dock started inviting me to weekend barbecues. Normal stuff, no drama, no complications. Dating hadn't been on my radar, but I wasn't closed off to it either. Went on a couple casual dates. Nothing serious yet, and that was fine. I was learning to enjoy my own company first. One Thursday afternoon, I was at the hardware store picking up supplies for a fence project when I saw her. She was with someone, a guy I didn't recognize. They were looking at paint samples together, and she was laughing at something he said. She looked different, hair shorter, lost some weight. She seemed happy, or at least content. Part of me expected to feel something. Anger, regret, sadness, anything. But I just felt neutral, like seeing an old coworker you used to know but don't really think about anymore. She didn't see me. I grabbed my supplies and left before she could. Not because I was avoiding her, but because there was no point in a conversation. We had nothing to say to each other. On the drive home, I thought about how far I'd come from that night when I found the messages. The version of me that stayed up planning his exit. The guy who moved out in silence rather than fight. I'd made the right call. Every step of the way, I'd made the right call. That weekend, I finished the fence. Jake and Wayne came over to help with the posts. We grilled burgers afterward, sat in the backyard, talked about nothing important. "You seem good, man," Jake said. "Like genuinely good." "I am," I said. And I meant it. No regrets about how it all went down? I thought about it for a second. Not even one. I could have stayed and fought, could have demanded counseling or explanations or promises, but none of that would have changed what happened. She chose to disrespect our marriage. I chose to respect myself and leave. Wayne raised his soda. That's the move right there. We clinked bottles and kept talking. Normal conversation, normal afternoon, normal life. Later that night, I was organizing some old papers when I found the final divorce decree in my desk drawer. I looked at it for a minute, then filed it away in a folder labeled Closed Chapters. Because that's exactly what it was. My phone buzzed. Text from Anna. "Running into you at the gym tomorrow? Claire and I are thinking of joining." "I'll be there around 10, I replied. Life had settled into something comfortable, something mine. No more walking on eggshells. No more wondering if I was being paranoid. No more feeling like an outsider in my own relationship. I had a house I was proud of, a job that respected my work, friends who had my back. Time to figure out what I actually wanted instead of just reacting to what someone else did. The next morning, I was replacing the mailbox out front when my neighbor Jordan walked over with his dog. "Place is looking great. You've done a lot with it since you moved in." "Thanks. Keeping busy?" "My wife and I are having people over Saturday for dinner. You should come. Bring someone if you want, or just come solo. Low-key thing." "I'll be there," I said. And just like that, I had weekend plans that didn't involve analyzing text messages or questioning intentions. Just normal neighborly stuff. That afternoon, I sat on my back porch with a book I'd been meaning to read for months. The sun was setting, the air was cooling down, and everything was quiet. I thought about the note I'd left her 6 months ago. Kidding's over. Marriage too. 5 words that had changed everything. People had asked me if I thought I'd moved too fast, if I should have given her a chance to explain, if I'd regret not trying harder to save the marriage. But here's the thing. They didn't understand. I hadn't given up on the marriage quickly. I'd given up on it at exactly the right time. The moment I realized she'd already checked out, I checked out too. That's not quitting. That's recognizing when something's finished and having the self-respect to walk away with dignity. My phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number, a text. "I know you probably won't read this, but I wanted you to know I'm sorry for everything. You deserved better. I hope you're doing well." I stared at it for a second. Thought about responding. Thought about ignoring it. Then I just deleted it and went back to my book. She was right about one thing. I did deserve better. And I'd built it, brick by brick, decision by decision. The kidding was over. The marriage was over. The old version of my life was over. And the new one? The new one was just getting good. I turned the page and kept reading. The past was behind me. The future was wide open. And for the first time in a long time, I was exactly where I wanted to be. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.